The crackle of the fire dances in the silence. Above you, stars shimmer like cold eyes, watching. The woods around this camp seem quiet, but that's the thing about the forest. It listens. It remembers. And tonight, it speaks. Gather close. These are the stories they say still echo through the trees. Tales of campers who met the other side and never came back the same. Story 1. The Lantern in the Fog. In the North Woods of Maine, there's a campground called Black Hollow, nestled against a thick pine forest that the locals say never fully wakes from winter. Cold, even in July. Years ago, a group of 5 teens, Lucas, Emma, Donnie, Ray, and Mark pitched their tents there after hearing it was perfectly isolated. They wanted an escape. No cell reception, no parents, just silence. But the first night, as the fire burned low, a heavy fog began to creep in. Thicker than any fog they'd seen. It swallowed the trees, the sky until the firelight barely lit their faces. And then, they saw it, a lantern. Glowing orange, swinging maybe 30 feet away. Mark laughed. "Someone's messing with us," he said. But no one responded. The lantern moved closer, yet they heard no footsteps. Lucas stood up, calling, "Hey, you need help." No answer. Just the creak of the lantern swaying on unseen air. Then it vanished. The group sat in silence. The fog thickened. When they woke up in the morning, Ray was gone. His sleeping bag was zipped, but empty. Footprints led into the trees and disappeared. That night, the lantern returned. It didn't stop at 30 feet this time. It came within 10. They heard whispers. Emma swore she saw a figure holding the lantern face wrapped in gauze, like it had been burned, and it pointed at their tent. Lucas ran toward it with a flashlight but tripped. When they helped him up, the lantern was gone again. The next morning, Donnie was gone. No signs. No screams in the night. On the third night, the fog didn't wait. It poured in before sunset. Mark, panicked, said he saw someone inside his tent inside, staring at him. They tried to flee. Emma made it to the main road. Police found her wandering barefoot, eyes wide, unable to speak. Lucas was never found. Emma, after weeks of silence, finally whispered one thing to her therapist. The lantern burns souls, and fog hides the taking. Story 2. The Girl in Cabin 6. Summer camps often have old buildings. At Camp Redwood in Oregon, Cabin 6 was the oldest slanted porch, creaky windows, and never assigned to campers. Until one year, the camp got overcrowded. They needed extra space. So, for girls Maya, Josie, Lauren, and Tasha were placed in Cabin 6. The counselor, Miss Brenner, looked concerned. "That cabin?" She hesitated. "It gets drafty. Let me know if anything feels off." The first night, the girls found a little doll in the dresser. Porcelain face, cracked lips, a faded ribbon around its neck. Maya laughed, placing it on the windowsill. "Creepy chic decor," she said. That night, the cabin was freezing. Josie claimed she heard humming a little girl's voice and saw the doll's head turn toward her bunk. The next day, Maya woke up with a scratch across her arm. 3 thin lines, like fingernails. Then came the journal. Lauren found it under a loose floorboard. Yellowed pages. The last entry read, "They locked me in here. I screamed and screamed. I won't be alone much longer." The girls started seeing things. Shadows darting past the door. The doll turning to face whoever entered. At 3:12 a.m. every night, the door slammed open, though no wind blew. Miss Brenner moved them to another cabin. But Maya insisted she'd stay one more night. "It's just a dumb story," she scoffed. In the morning, Maya was gone. Only her bunk sheet was left shredded. They searched every inch. Cabin 6 was locked from the inside, but no Maya. Later, a camper saw something from the woods too. Figures standing at the cabin window. One was the doll. The other, a girl with a ribbon tied around her neck. Story 3. The Man Behind the Birch Tree Narrator. Camp Evernight in Michigan has a ghost story. Counselors whisper only to each other. They say, deep in the woods, there's a birch tree with a mark shaped like an eye. If you see it, you've come too far. And he's already watching. In 2011, A counselor named Jace took his group on a night hike. Despite warnings, they were behind schedule and dusk was falling fast. As the woods thickened, one camper, Eli, pointed ahead. "Who's that guy?" Jace looked. A tall man in a wide-brimmed hat stood half-concealed behind a birch tree. His body didn't move, but his head did. Tilted, then tilted more. Unnaturally, Jace called out, but the man slipped behind the tree, vanished. Eli was quiet the rest of the hike. That night, Eli refused to sleep. Said the man was at the edge of the woods, still staring. "He's getting closer," he whispered. At 2 a.m., Eli screamed. Jace and another counselor burst into the cabin, but Eli was gone. Just the window open. No footprints outside. Nothing but birch leaves. Even though there were no birch trees near that cabin. The next night, another camper saw the man in the trees. Always behind a birch. Always watching. Kids started sleepwalking. One by one, they disappeared. Jace, desperate, stayed up every night guarding the cabin. On the 5th night, he heard a voice, his own voice, calling from the woods. He followed it. In the morning, the campers found only his flashlight, lying at the base of a birch with a carved eye. No one goes on night hikes anymore. And if you ever see a birch tree with an eye-shaped scar, don't turn your back. The fire's low now. The woods feel a little closer, don't they? If you're ever camping and hear soft humming, or see a lantern glow through the fog, don't follow, don't look too long. Because some stories are warnings, and some are invitations. Sleep well. Story 4. The Whisper Tunnel. At Camp Stillwater in Colorado, there's an old sealed-off drainage tunnel behind the creek bed. Cement walls, rusted bars. Kids dared each other to go near it, whispering that it echoed voices that weren't your own. One night, a camper named Theo snuck out to record ghost sounds with his phone. He was into paranormal TikTok stuff and thought it'd make great content. At 2:33 a.m., he hit record and said, "If anyone's down there, say something." He heard whispering, soft, like wind dragging across gravel. But the words were clear. "Why did you leave me down here?" Theo laughed nervously. "Creepy. Good audio," he said. He turned to leave, but the whisper followed. "Don't leave me again." He ran. The next morning, his bunkmates found his phone on the trail. The last video, Theo's flashlight trembling wildly, then going dark. And one last whisper, "You're staying now." They sealed the tunnel again. But campers swear if you walk by late at night, you'll hear a voice calling your name. Story 5. The Bell Ringer. Camp Renbrook had a warning bell that hung from an old wooden tower. It was only to be rung for fires or emergencies. One summer, the bell rang at exactly 3:07 a.m., 5 nights in a row. The staff checked everything. No fire, no intruders. No one was near the bell. On the 6th night, they stationed Counselor Darren under the bell with a camera. He laughed it off, said he'd bust whatever kid was pranking them. The bell rang. Darren never came back. They reviewed the footage. At 3:06, Darren yawns, looks bored. At 3:07, the bell swings wildly, but Darren just disappears. In a blink, no scream, no sound. He's there then gone. One frame, though, showed something else. A hand, pale and bloated, gripping the rope. No body, just the hand. The bell was taken down, but some nights, you can still hear it ringing, and something watching from where the tower used to stand. Story 6. The Cabin with No Door. Deep in the woods near Camp Echo Lake, there's a cabin with no number, no sign. Just walls, windows, and a sagging roof. No door. You can't get in. At least, not from the outside. To curious Boisty and Marcus went, looking for it after hearing rumors. They found it easily, despite the staff pretending it didn't exist. Through the dusty windows, they saw bunk beds, a table, and something else. A girl, sitting on the top bunk, pale as paper, smiling. Ty waved. She waved back. He blinked, and she was gone. The next night, Marcus vanished from his bunk. Ty ran to the no-door cabin. This time, it had a door. He opened it. Inside, Marcus, asleep in one of the bunks, and the girl, standing behind him, whispering in his ear. her eyes black, her feet hovering above the floor. Ty screamed. Rand told the counselors. They found no cabin, no door, no Marcus. But later that summer, another camper went missing. And the next year, they say the cabin only shows up to the ones it wants. Story 7. The Drowning Boy. Camp Grayshore had a lake that gleamed like glass. But no one swam after sunset, not since the drowning. 10 years ago, a boy named Caleb wandered off during a canoe trip and slipped under. They never found his body. The counselors blamed currents. Locals blamed something else. Now, every summer, someone sees him, just beneath the surface, eyes open. Watching, a girl named Vanessa swore she saw fingers reach up from the lake bottom during a morning paddle. She never went back. Last year, they held a night swim, a dare. A boy named Chris jumped in and didn't come back up. Divers searched for hours. Nothing. No bubbles. No body. 2 nights later, a camper snapped a photo of the lake under moonlight. There were 2 figures in the water, one boy standing still, and another upside down beside him, hair floating, mouth open. The lake's off limits now, but on moonless nights, you can still hear splashing and soft sobbing from beneath the dock. Story 8. The Counselor in the Mirror. In Cabin 12 at Camp Pine Willow, there's a cracked mirror that can't be removed. They've tried replacing it always reappears the next morning. They say a counselor named Elise used to sleep there alone years ago. One night, she saw someone in the mirror standing behind her, but when she turned around, no one was there. She vanished the next morning, but kids still get assigned to Cabin 12. Last summer, twins Julia and Nadia stayed there. Julia woke up screaming one night, said she saw a woman in the mirror, whispering her name, said the reflection wasn't hers, smiled when she didn't. They covered the mirror with a towel, but the next morning, it was bare again, and Nadia was gone. Julia looked into the mirror and saw 2 of herself. One was smiling. Campers say if you sleep there alone and look into the mirror at midnight, someone else will look back. And if they like you, they'll take your place.